King James holding court without saying anything at all. Meanwhile, the other players in the kingdom are stuck. And what a group it is, from Miami to Cleveland to the commissioner's office in New York. Folks holding their breath to see where LeBron will decide to play next and how it will impact them. Welcome to SportsCenter with John Anderson. I'm Lindsay Zarniak. We have gathered our insiders, our brain trust here, Brian Windhorst, Chris Broussard, Mark Stein, as we get you caught up on the very latest of this developing story.
We also go by the names sitting, waiting, loitering, lingering, and me, impatient. LeBron, though, has been sighted playing pickup ball with his campers in Las Vegas again today. And for those who like to read the tea leaves, it appears he's favoring the team colors of Brazil. Or maybe he doesn't want to change before going to the World Cup final Sunday. So, Brian Windhorst, we're where on this thing here on a Thursday evening?
You know, I just got to say that the scenes that I'm seeing from LeBron's house outside Akron, where is like almost like a religious experience developing, where people are pilgrimaging there and gathering.
And the cops.
And the cops and gathering. This, to me, sums up the LeBron experience in Cleveland. This really sums it up. I mean, I don't think it's healthy for those people to be down there because I don't think anything's coming anytime soon.
They're scaring him away, man.
But just to understand the longing and the desire that these people have, and you have to understand what they're going through as they're waiting for this. I mean, and they are waiting, expecting good news. And there's just been no, and Chris knows, there's been no indication that this is coming. I mean, I know you feel like it's going to happen, but there's been no indication that he's made this decision.
Well, and to the point of the talk that he had with Pat Riley yesterday in Vegas, Chris, what is the latest that you've heard about that conversation, if anything?
Well, obviously he didn't, come out of that meeting with any decision, and Pat Riley, didn't get a commitment to the Heat. He didn't tell him he's out of there, he's going back to Cleveland or somewhere else. So it's fueling, but the fact that he doesn't have meetings with other teams is leading a lot of people around the league. We're all talking to people around the league. They're starting to think it's becoming a spectacle versus something that was intriguing early on. Now, that has nothing to do with LeBron and his agent, Rich Paul. LeBron has not said a word. Rich Paul has not said a word publicly. So they may genuinely be deliberating over what they're going to do. But the appearance is that it's kind of becoming crazy because you see what's going on in Northeast Ohio right now.
There he is, leaving his camp today in Vegas. Mark, meetings are private. Pat Riley, though, publicly challenged his guys to stay in Miami. Dan Gilbert's bitter goodbye letter recently taken down by the Cavs. How are those two relationships? Because neither of those seem to be like favorable things if you want somebody to come play for you.
I don't think the Riley speech in isolation, even though I think we all agree it didn't land well with LeBron, I don't think that alone is going to drive him away. But when we hear things like the Miami Heat were preaching stability in that meeting, that's an indirect shot at Dan Gilbert, a reminder to LeBron, remember how it was in Cleveland, remember your relationship with this guy, which wasn't stable. But LeBron is looking at Cleveland very seriously. That much we know, and I think Miami's a little rattled.
But, Broussard, didn't you say that they had patched it up? That he and Dan Gilbert had talked?
I've heard rumblings that a few years ago they may have talked. I'm not positive about that, but that they may have had a brief encounter, nothing formal, but just kind of to patch things up. I don't think Dan Gilbert, if LeBron doesn't go to Cleveland, I don't believe it'll be because of the Dan Gilbert situation. LeBron understands he made some missteps at that point. He understands, too, that forgiving Dan Gilbert could be a prelude to Cleveland forgiving him for how he did it on national TV last time. So LeBron, business-wise, he understands you sometimes work with people you disagree with. So I don't think that that's going to be a hindrance if indeed he feels like it's best for him, his family, and his career to go back to Cleveland.
And this time we said, he's going to do it on his website. Is that right? Even though it crashed
That's just
today?
one of the thousands of rumors out there. There was one that he was going to do it at 3:30 because Akron's area code is 330.
Oh, God. But how should he do it? I mean, what would be the best way for him to...
You assume Twitter in the modern day, but, I mean, it was put to me by one plugged-in league source that Carmelo and LeBron are doing this for marketing reasons. And I said, why would those two guys they don't need marketing. Everybody knows who they are. But it's July. There's not a lot else happening in sports. And, I mean, they are the centers of attention completely.
But it seems like it's beginning to bother some people around the league because a lot of players are being held up. And then, of course, teams from making decisions. Honestly, at this point, I think probably the best thing to do would be after he plays, if he knows. He may not know, but I know he wants to talk with family. But whenever he decides, if he's still at his camp, in a little scrum, say, hey, I'm going to Cleveland, or I'm staying in my – just don't make a big deal out of it, because I don't think people want to see it be like that.
When LeBron announces this, there's a possibility that this is how the teams may find out. I mean, you'd think that he would call and let them know, but they're in the dark. Chris Bosh is in the dark. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, everybody's claiming that they have inside information, and that this is leading you to believe this and this detail and this detail. But I'm telling you, the main players here don't have the information. And that's why it's dangerous to make any assumption that anything's going to happen, because there's just nothing rock solid yet.
Well, speaking of Bosh, with Chandler Parsons signing the offer sheet from the Mavericks, what kind of effect then could that have on Chris Bosh and LeBron James as well?
Chris Bosh, besides all of us on the outside, must be the most impatient one waiting for an answer. He's said a zillion times he wants to stay in Miami, but he's only going to do that most likely if LeBron stays. I suppose Miami could try to offer Bosh the max in the worst-case scenario if LeBron leaves. But Bosh is clearly waiting for the signal from LeBron, and that signal won't come. And now Houston has basically this weekend to sort this out. Houston needs to sign Bosh first to have any chance at keeping Chandler Parsons. They've also got to trade Asik, Jeremy Lin, and maybe another $3-4 million in salary. But the pressure is on Houston here now.
What if he can't even get the signal? Because right now, Chris Bosh is in Ghana. I mean, this is one of the weirdest things that's going on that we're not paying attention to.
They do have cell phones in Ghana, though.
Chris Bosh, I know, he's tweeting. Bosh is on this world tour. Meanwhile, he's debating over to take this $80 million deal or this $90 million deal, and he's flying internationally between third world countries. I mean, it's crazy. Even what's going on with him is crazy. What's going on with him in this last week could be a book, and nobody's even paying attention to him.
Well, and Houston, too. Houston, you know, they're throwing their hat in everything. They've offered LeBron the max. They've offered Melo the max. They've offered Bosh the max. Meanwhile, they don't have the money yet. They have to trade, as you said, Asik, Lin. I'm told they don't have a trade for Lin. They're saying they do. I'm told they don't have a trade for Lin. And you might have to trade a few other players, too. So it's chaos all around in the NBA right now.
Meanwhile, Houston is sitting here in a position where if all their cards fall right, and I agree that it's complicated, they could end up getting Chris Bosh. If LeBron walks, they could get Chris Bosh, and they could, in 3 straight off seasons, get James Harden, Dwight Howard, and Chris Bosh. Their fans have got to be on edge, too. They could be on the verge of making a major haul.
Well, I'm going to do you 3 fellas a favor, because I'm sure you've been asked. I won't ask you for where he's going today, since we don't seem to have that kind
You're not getting an answer from me.
I'm not going to put you on the spot.
I know what this guy's saying.
You have my answer.
You're not getting an answer
by my answer.
You're going Cleveland.
Cleveland.
There you go.
Stein?
Mark, you do not feel
I'm leaning Cleveland, but it's a 51-49 kind of situation.
I'm over here at Cleveland, unless I switch over here to Miami.
And you just get to walk?
That's good.
Yeah, something. Give
He
me
gets no
something.
days off, so we're letting him walk.
I am not going to be irresponsible. I'll let the other millions of people be irresponsible. I'm going to be the responsible
We're
one.
just asking for an opinion.
No,
That's not my role.
Okay.
There you go.
That's not my role.
And
Just
we
the
respect
facts.
that. And our big 3, by the way, is going to stay intact. Remains to be seen what happens in South Beach. But for now, we do have boots on the ground in Las Vegas. Those boots belong to Ramona Shelburne.
While the world waits on LeBron James to announce his decision, he's been playing pickup basketball at his skills camp in Las Vegas. He was here this morning, played for about 30 minutes. He looked loose. He was having fun. I'm told he's going to be back here again tonight. It's a far cry from what happened in 2010 before his first decision when he held his camp in Cleveland. People who were at that camp said he looked stressed, the decision was weighing on him. But if you saw him here in Vegas these last couple of days, you would have no idea that anything else was going on in LeBron's head or his mind except basketball. In Las Vegas, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN.
Well, if at some point money matters, possible deal with the Heat would net LeBron $118.7 million over 5 seasons, average value of just less than $24 million a year. If he leaves, the Heat goes to any other team, like the Cavs. Max deal, 4 years, $88.2 million. Meanwhile, in Ohio, well, in Cleveland, they're not worrying about Johnny Manziel in Vegas today, that's for sure. Police are increasing patrols and security around LeBron James' house in anticipation of his choice of NBA teams. And we're told the weather is spectacular. Here's Josina Anderson.
along with the frenzy that involved LeBronJames.com crashing Thursday afternoon and more local media gathering on this corner, Cavs fans continue to stop by our live shot area throughout the day and make a variety of comments that included, "The King is coming back," to "LeBron's not welcome unless he apologizes," and "I just bought my season tickets," while another Cavs fan stopped to chat in this Forgiven t-shirt. Meanwhile, I talked to a Cavs player who told me while he believes that LeBron potentially returning home would be, quote, good for Cleveland, he also said it would be more important for them to focus on what they're doing in Vegas because there are no guarantees. So as the wait continues here in the city, Sergeant Ali Pillow of the Cleveland Police Department told me he is anticipating no issues in civil unrest behind the decision here and said if any disturbances arise, they'll deal with it at that time. In Cleveland, I'm Josina Anderson, ESPN.
All right, well, he's not LeBron's lawn, but Jeff Goodman has tweeted this picture. D. Wade is now here at LeBron's Skills Academy. Is he in there? Where is he? He's in that group, apparently.
I see him.
Is he?
I think he's in front of me.
Apparently,
Yeah, there he is.
Is he the one? Is he the one in the hat?
our producer's saying he's the tall one. Well,
there he is. He's here at LeBron's Skills Academy for whatever that's worth.
well, they must be staying together then.